Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome if this is your first time on my channel. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am coming to you from a very different location. I'm on holidays. You can see the ocean behind. We're just at the end of the vacation now, so I thought now would be a great time to show you my holiday book haul. When I go on holidays, I've got certain places that I like to go and visit, and little bookshops, little secondhand places where books are available. Apologies about my crazy fluffy hair. It's very salty and sunny here, so yeah. I take it back. No apologies. My hair looks crazy. I'm not wearing any makeup. It's been a great holiday. So you may be able to hear the ocean in the background. It is also very windy today, so you may be hearing, shutters and blinds banging about in the house. So apologies if that is a bother. I hope it's not. Let me show you the books that I was able to get. So I'm on holidays on the south coast of New South Wales, which probably about 3 or 4 hours south of where I live, in terms of driving, a 3 or 4 hour drive to get to where I am right now. And the nearby towns to where I am that have good bookshops are Milton and Ulladulla. So if you know this area, they're the places I like to go to look for books. So there's a couple of little shops. There's some really great secondhand book shops, like book specific shops in Ulladulla, and then also just like, a Vinnie's and a Salvo's. For those of you who are Australian and know what I'm talking about, that also have good books. This time I also went to a place in Nowra, which is further north from where I am. So you drive through Nowra to get down to the place where I am. And I have not been to this Salvo's, Salvation Army secondhand place. They have a really big book selection there, so I was able to get quite a few things at that place as well. So anyway, I've filmed for 2.5 minutes and I still haven't shown you a single book. These are the books. I've got 2 stacks. I've got quite a lot of books to show you, so let's get into it. The first one is a beautiful edition of the Just So stories by Rudyard Kipling with illustrations by Riddell. This is just a beautiful edition. It's a book that I have actually read before, but it's got, illustrations throughout, and it's just beautifully bound. It's going to look really lovely on my shelf, so I'm really pleased to have found that one. Then we've got a couple of Penguin orange editions. The regular penguins, what do you call them? Orange penguins? Anyway, penguin books. I was able to pick up The Well by Elizabeth Jolley and Cold Comfort Farm by Stella Gibbons. I had a friend years and years ago who told me this was her favourite book, and I still haven't read it, so I'm interested in rectifying that situation. I got a copy of Close Range, which includes the short story Brokeback Mountain. This is obviously the movie tie-in edition. I read just Brokeback Mountain in its own edition, I want to say in 2021. Might have been 2022 though. And I really, really loved it. So I was interested in getting myself, it was just a loan from the library. So I was interested in getting my own copy. I don't normally go for movie tie-ins, but it was $2. So I thought, I might as well just pick that one up. Just also because I just know that I really enjoyed the story Brokeback Mountain. This is one that's a non-fiction called Salt on Your Tongue, Women and the Sea by Charlotte Runcie. So basically this one is about what the sea means to us, and particularly to women. Which just sounded like a really interesting concept for a non-fiction. Should be good for my non-fiction challenge this year, 2023. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one at some point, probably this year. I also found a copy of Dewey, the small town library cat who touched the world. Well, there's something inside. A very skinny bookshop. Guildford Book Exchange. That is not where I got it from, but obviously that's where the previous owner got it from, or perhaps something else. So yeah, this is about a cat that's associated with a library. This is a cat that was found in the night drop box of the library where she worked, and they, little kitten, and became the library cat, I guess. So yeah, that's a cute one. Looking forward to it. This is one I don't know anything about, but it just sounded really interesting to me, mainly because it's set in a period that interests me. So it's called Ragtime by E.L. Doctorow. It says it's the winner of the National Book Critics Circle Award. And it's set in, so just before the First World War. So it's set in basically that time. And it's about, just some interesting characters, I guess, living in that time. So I don't really know anything about the book itself, but it just sounded really interesting to me. This was a book that I was really pleased to find because it has been on my wish list. I passed it up when I went to a bookshop and then regretted it. And the next time I went back to the bookshop, they didn't have any copies left. So it's Audrey Magee, The Colony. It's been on my wish list for probably about a year and a half now. So I was really pleased to find a secondhand copy that didn't cost me too much. I got this one at that place at Nowra that I haven't been to before, and because it's a more recent release, it costs a little bit more, but it was only something like $7. So I was very pleased with that, given that it's actually one that's on that I've been looking for. So very, very pleased to get a copy of that one. I finally was able to get a physical copy of Too Much Lip by Melissa Lucashenko. I've read this now twice, once in 2021, which was my first time reading it, and then again last year, and really, really enjoyed this book very much. So I'm very pleased to now own a copy, given that it's one I know I have reread and I'm planning to reread. So, multiple times in the future as well, because it's such an enjoyable story. So very pleased to have found that. Another author that I am wanting to read this year is Tony Birch, and I was able to get a copy of The White Girl, which is probably the title that I wanted to read the most. A couple of book hauls ago, I hauled a book by this author that I just bought because it was written by him, and I'm interested in reading some of his work. So very, very keen to get to this one, hopefully in 2023. Another non-fiction. This one is one that I already own a digital copy of, but was pleased to find a physical copy of. So it's called Other Minds, The Octopus and the Evolution of Intelligent Life by Peter Godfrey Smith. So this is just, as the title suggests, about, the fact that octopuses have this quite well-known intelligence, and just exploring that. So I'm very interested to kind of learn more about them. Octopuses kind of freak me out a little bit. I wouldn't want to meet one in real life, but I find them very interesting. Then I got another, move this stack a little closer so I don't have to keep reaching. I've got Wild by Kristen Hanna, a woman who must escape her past, a child who must unlock her future. This is an author I haven't read before, but has come recommended to me. Hi Ian, if you're watching this, I know that you very much enjoyed another of Kristen Hanna's books, and so when I saw this, I picked it up basically based on the author's name. So very interested to get to this one. It's quite a thick one, so it's about 465 pages roughly, and I don't know if I'll get to it this year, but I'm glad to have found it, and to hopefully be able to read it. I believe, I think she's a well-known and well-loved author, so interested to read some of her stuff. Have not yet read her before. I found a copy of Wild Abandoned by Emily Bitto, which I'm really pleased about. I don't know too much about this book concept-wise, but it's one that I've seen hanging around on the internet and also just in bookshops, and has always kind of called to me a little bit. So when I found a secondhand copy, I was quite happy to get it. So I don't know what it's about. Just a bit of an adventure, I think. So we'll see when I get to it. Charlotte Wood, The Weekend, another one I already had a digital copy of that I was happy to find a physical copy of. So yeah, that was very pleasing to me. This one I believe is about friendship and sort of how, like, the dynamics of a friendship group. So that sounds very fascinating to me. Jane Harper's most recent one, Exiles. So I grabbed that when I found a secondhand copy. I think it was only about $4. So yeah, that seemed like a good bargain for me, given that this is her current release. I believe it was published in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So yeah, and this is the same. So The Dry is her best known kind of breakout book, I guess. And this is set in the same universe. It's the same detective from The Dry, I believe, the investigator. Another book that has been on my wish list that I've sort of been looking for a copy of, it's been on my wish list for a while now, is The Christie Affair, and I was so pleased to find a copy of this. So I've been very lucky. I found 2 books that were on my wish list, purchase wish list, so that was really great. This one's by Nina de Gramont, and it's about the period of time where Agatha Christie famously goes missing for a period, like, I can't remember how many days it is, a week, 2 weeks, something like that. And this is told by the woman who is her Agatha Christie's husband's mistress. 11 days. So she goes missing for 11 days. And it says, so in 1926, Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. Only I know the truth of her disappearance. I'm no Hercule Poirot. I'm her husband's mistress. So, like, it just sounds like a really interesting story based on kind of the truth, but obviously a fictionalized version of that. Then I found a copy of The Wonder by Emma Donohue. I believe this has just been made into either a TV series or a movie. And it's about, so there's an 11-year-old girl called Anna who is said to have eaten nothing for months but appears to be thriving. And it's told from the perspective of a young English nurse that arrives to kind of try and help her, who sort of doesn't, she's a skeptic about it. She doesn't believe it's the truth. But then it kind of, it sort of becomes this kind of mystery of what's really going on. And I believe that it's sort of becomes a bit tense. So that sounds like a really interesting book. My pile is getting a little bit busy here. The Seamstress of Sardinia by Bianca Pizzorno, translated by Bridget Mayer. This looks like an interesting one. It's one that I've sort of seen about when I've been looking at books, and sort of, again, the cover has kind of called to me. It's a very arresting image, I think. And this is about a woman who is a seamstress. So she has grown up sort of in lower financial circumstances, but she's working for these very, very rich sort of people. So it's quite like a, coming together of two worlds kind of situation. So that should be an interesting read as well. I'm nervous because I've started with books that are small and I've stacked the big ones on the top. So I'm going to start a second pile. Not too long to go now, only 2 more books to go. I managed to find a copy of Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey. I, again, don't know that much about this book, but I'm interested to sort of like read about him. I quite like him as an actor, and so I'm sort of interested in kind of hearing like the inner workings of his head a little bit. So I don't know if this is going to be for me, but I thought, like, secondhand, I found it for a couple of bucks, like $4 or something like that. So I was happy to pay that for a chance that it might be really interesting. And the last one that I've got is another one that I already own a digital copy of, but was happy to find a physical copy of. This is The Lefthanded Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. The byline is authorized to kill and sell books. So this sounds really interesting. So this is, I know Garth Nix is a pretty well-known fantasy writer in Australia. He writes books for children, or like, young adult sort of age, and also middle grade, I believe. So it says here slightly alternate London, set in 1983, so it's kind of, I would say probably maybe magical realism. I'm not really 100% sure because I haven't read it obviously, but it's kind of about this kind of left-handed booksellers. I remember when I was reading about this, when I got the digital version of it, that I was really, really into it. So anyway, I won't go into it because I don't really know what I'm talking about. I haven't read it yet, but it just sounds like an interesting world where being left-handed, a left-handed bookseller is kind of like you're a mysterious society kind of situation. And so basically we've got an art student called Susan Arkshaw who's looking for her father that she hasn't ever known. But before she can question her first suspect, he's turned to dust by the prick of a silver hat pin in the hands of the mysterious Merlin St. Jacques, a young left-handed bookseller on a quest of his own. So then they join forces, and it's sort of this like secret magical kind of situation. Anyway, it sounds really interesting, so I'm really pleased to have a physical copy of it. I am too nervous to move this stack, but that is my haul. I've been really, really lucky this time around. I always am when I do a big haul on my South Coast holidays. So yeah, happy to have been able to share it with you. Now I can pack these books, ready to come home tomorrow and back to my real life, sadly. But yeah, always happy to come down and have a couple of weeks on the coast, listening to the ocean, looking out at the blue. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place to be. So I hope that you are also in a beautiful place, or if not, that you've been able to get to a mental beautiful place through reading this in these last couple of weeks. So yeah, back to real life for me very soon, but I'll be back again with another video shortly also. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.